Good morning. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm April Williams, and this is Daily Dose Live, dynamic direction for a successful life. It's your morning motivation that will not waste your time. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. It is so good to see you. I hope your week has been good so far, and I hope you're having a good Thursday morning. So all week we've been talking about establishing healthy mental habits. How you think habitually is how you will feel habitually. And we talked about the dynamic of an event, thought equals a feeling. Event, thought, feeling. So I wanted to highlight today 3 cognitive distortions or 3 unhealthy mental habits that we often perform, we often do, that are affecting our feelings, affecting our lives, affecting our relationships. So I wanted to highlight these last 3 to round out this week. So we've talked about overgeneralization, we've talked about magnification, minimization. These last 3 are really good. And when I read them, I thought, wow, I know that these are things that I have done or actually may even do on a regular basis. Very important. Number 1, fortune telling. It's a mental habit of predicting what will happen based on little or no real evidence. So when our mind is imagining a negative outcome rather than a positive outcome, we don't actually know what's going to happen, but we just imagine a negative. You know, there's 2 possible outcomes, positive or negative. For some reason, we lean toward the negative at times. So this is fortune telling. And he gives an example. Again, this is from Nick Wignall, Wignall. He has a great website that talks about emotional intelligence, emotional fitness. Nick Wignall, he has some great resources if you want to look that up. But he gives an example. After a date that finishes quickly or unsatisfactory, you think, oh, there's no way that he's going to call me ever again. So fortune telling. After walking out of a meeting, we predict, oh, they hated it. That's mind reading. We talked about that. And there's no way that they're ever going to accept my proposal. So fortune telling. And the fortune telling creates a lot of anxiety because we're predicting a negative outcome. So it's better just don't do that. If you're going to focus on anything, why not focus on the good? So fortune telling, don't do it. Should statements. Number 2, should statements. They're a kind of self-talk we use to try and motivate ourselves by always telling what we should and should not do. The problem is a lot of life decisions are not that cut and dry. So when we're in the habit of using these should statements, we set up a false expectation that we should have certainty. We should have this, we should have that. This can lead to chronic frustration, anxiety, and resentment. So if we're in a situation where a negative outcome does happen, we beat ourselves up. I should have known that. I should have, I should not have. These should statements create a lot of anxiety. Don't do it. And the last one really touched a nerve with me, so to speak, because I thought, oh my goodness, I do this. And I recognize it as something that I need to change, especially when you're angry. Sometimes it's very easy to fall back on these defaults when you're angry. Labeling. The last one is labeling. This is so important. Labeling is a habit of describing ourselves or others in one extreme way, usually negatively, because people in their sense of self, including our own, are highly complex and ever-changing. Labeling is inaccurate. It's an inaccurate oversimplification. An example, when you're in an argument with a person, sometimes we don't listen to understand. Sometimes we don't have a spirit of understanding, and in the midst of the disagreement, we think, oh, he's such a jerk. You know, what a jerk. Instead of thinking, you know what, we're not understanding one another, or I'm not understanding his point of view, or we're coming from 2 different worldviews. Instead, we automatically go to that default of, oh, he's such a jerk, I can't stand him. And that's just oversimplification. That's a labeling that we should not do. We should listen and seek to understand instead of just labeling somebody as this or that, because that really, I can't do anything about whether if I think somebody's a jerk or not. But if I come to this conclusion of maybe I'm not communicating this well, he's not understanding what I'm saying, or maybe I'm not listening, I can fix that. So this labeling creates these walls and barriers, and it really hinders relationships. It hinders actually coming to a solution. So don't do it. Labeling is not a good habit to get into. It oversimplifies certain things. And it's an easy default when you're angry. But if we stop and listen, seek to understand, we won't have this bad habit of labeling. So fortune telling, predicting a negative outcome. Hey, there's two outcomes that are possible. Let's think about the positive. Should statements and labeling. Those are three negative mental habits that we often have. We often do those on default. These create anxiety. These create stress in our lives. Just don't do them. And the main aspect of what I've been talking about this week, these mental habits, is many times we're in a cascade of emotion. And we don't even stop and think, these feelings are coming from thoughts. What are these thoughts that are creating these feelings? And when you isolate those thoughts, you can begin to replace those thoughts. And when you begin to replace the patterns of thinking, you can begin to replace how you feel about something. It's so important not to drown in emotions and be unaware, but to become aware of our thought patterns, and we can change not just our mental health, but our emotional health as well. Very important. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hey, like and share. 5 people that need to hear this message all week. This has been so important, focusing on our mental health. So like and share today. Also, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. You can email me at mydailydoselive@gmail.com, mydailydoselive@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. Also, go to our website, Wisdom for Beyond, FOR, wisdomforbeyond.com. And join me next week, Monday through Thursday, Facebook Live. Have a whole new set of topics next week. I'm doing some research on impacting our relationships, how we can add joy to our relationships, and that adds meaning and adds a longevity and even a lot of strength to our relationships. So maybe that'll be the topic next week. I'm not sure. I'm doing research for it, but I hope you join me. And every topic that I cover, I want us to grow together. I want us to learn. That is why I do Daily Dose every day. I'm learning, and I hope that you're learning, and I hope you join me next week. Hey, I'm April Williams, and that is Daily Dose.